Good morning, top of the morning, top of the morning, top of the morning, everyone. If you are tuning in with us live here at 7:25 a.m., welcome to News in Motion. Today is Thursday, May 16th, 2024. If you are catching the replay, whether that be in the afternoon, the evening, or near the nighttime, we just want to say thank you for tuning into News in Motion. We can be found on LinkedIn, YouTube, or any audio or podcast platforms. Today we have Town Hall Thursday. Now, the rules of Town Hall Thursday is at the moment y'all stop typing in the chat, the segment's over. All right, so the moment y'all stop asking questions, y'all stop commenting stuff, the segment is over. We go to the inspirational message, and then we out of here for the weekend. This is the rules. I'm just the messenger. I ain't made the rules. But make sure you commenting. Make sure you asking the questions that you want answered. Ask the questions and connect the dots. That's what we do around here in News in Motion. And we are also a news media outlet with relevant commentary and call to action and voter registration information. So if you have any young people who are of the age of 18 and who are able to vote, please inform them that they have their right and that they should use their right to vote. We can use sites like batapedia.org or powertopolls.com. /News in Motion, just some of the sites that we use over here at News in Motion for voter registration. Before we get started, a few quick shout outs. Shout out to Miss Shirley Nicholson, Miss Regina Shores. Good morning to you, Miss Adrian, and Miss Marian Jackson, all tuning in through the tubes of you. So, without further delay, y'all know what we do over here. Let's get ready for some News in Motion.
News in Motion.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning to all of you. I see you rolling up in here, and I see Kim Edmondson popped in, as well as Davia. Good morning to you, Shirley. I know you're on here, and Shardini, I think, is the other one. But listen, I'm finally getting my order of books. They're still like sometimes out of stock in some places, but I had a conversation with my rep. I said, I need some books. So she says, okay, we're going to pack you up some and send them out on early next week. So surely I'll be coming. Again, for everyone who placed an order with me before we took it straight to Amazon, because of the delay, you're getting the second book. So surely for every 3, I think you have 3 coming your way, you'll get 3 of these as well. Equal value. This is the same price as the other one. This is a workbook. It's a 49-day workbook. So you'll get this. You'll get one of these with each of the 3 you're expecting. And anyone else who's waiting on books from me, you'll be getting this as a way just to say thank you for your patience. So that will be coming. All right. I don't have her with me today. By the way, everyone, this is May the 16th, and I am your host, Gail Dudley. I don't have her with me today, but I told her I was still going to embarrass her. Happy early birthday to my girl, Dominique Dudley. I now have no one who would be considered a toddler. I have no children who are in elementary school or middle school or high school or even the first 4 years of college. I don't have a 21-year-old anymore, and I have 2 children. I don't even have a 20-year-old anymore in their 20s. So my girl will be the big 3-0 on Saturday. So happy birthday to you, Dominique Dudley. She's like, I ain't getting on. But happy birthday, happy birthday. To celebrate her birthday, y'all know by now I like to give stuff away. So to celebrate her birthday, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm giving this to the viewers, not the podcast. Y'all hold on, but to the viewers. I see you, Lori. To all the viewers, if you have the book Inspire, and of course, we will know if you have the book Inspire or not. If you have the book Inspire, through the weekend, we are going to pull, get this, 5 names. If you're one of the names that we pull, from that, and then just gotta chat with me today. This is Town Hall Thursday. So put in the chat, pick me, pick me, pick me. And every time you put pick me, your name goes in the box another time. So if you have pick me in there, and they have to be separate chats. If you put pick me in there 20 times, your name will go in there 20 times. We are going to pick 5 people to do a one-on-one inspirational session with me. We'll have a whole hour session. It'll be totally free to you. That's a serious value because we're talking a couple $100 there. But listen, you say pick me and you get chosen, you will be, you'll get an email saying, please schedule your 1 hour session with Gail Dudley. So if you have the book, so that's one giveaway we're doing. Audio podcast listeners. If you send us an email and tell us why we should pick you, once you get stationary, why we should pick you, there will be another 5 in the podcast side. So the podcast side has to write kind of like an essay as to why we should pick them. On the broadcast side, the live views, all you got to do is put in the chat, pick me, pick me, pick me. And if you're picked, we're picking 5 people, you will have a one-on-one session. All right, so podcast listeners, audio listeners, you want to send that email to newsinmotion@gmail.com. So this should be really good. This should be really good. Shirley Nicholson said, good things come when you wait. Listen, Shirley, listen. And Shirley, because you have been so supportive. Y'all can tell I'm in a giving mood today. By the way, y'all, the stock market yesterday was off the chain. Maybe that's why I'm feeling good today. Listen, but y'all know this is me all the time. Shirley, because you have been so patient, the 3 people who you decide to give the book to, they will also get a 1 hour with me on that book, Getting to the Root of It, Not Inspire. So there you have it. I'm just like having fun today, right? So this is all a part of celebrating my daughter. This is all a part of being almost 59 years old myself. And I now have 2 fully adult children, and to be able to live to see that is just a blessing within itself. So now that I have that out the way, let's have some fun today with Town Hall Thursday. All right, y'all, Joe Biden, I don't know if he has a new set of people helping him write his script or what, but he is off the chain on his Instagram. I see you, Hester Jackson, and I see you, Lori. Y'all rolling up in here. He's just been off the chain. Who's ever helping him, I loved it. He did a video yesterday. We now have debate dates, but he did a video before the debate dates came out, where I won't go the whole video, but he says something about telling Donald Trump, let's debate, let's get onto the debate stage. Yes, it's on my Instagram. Let me just tell you, it's on my Instagram. And so he says, when he's asking for dates from Donald Trump, and at that point, there weren't any dates. He said, I hear you're free on Wednesdays, y'all. I was like, what shade is that? Because he doesn't have court on Wednesdays. And he said, so let's pick that date. Let's pick that date. We can pick a Wednesday. So anyway, they're not Wednesdays. But President Biden and former President Donald J. Trump will be on CNN for their first debate on June the 27th, which happens to be a Thursday. And the second debate is September the 10th on ABC's. But I was like, did he just throw some serious shade? He said, I hear you're free on Wednesdays. Like, can we start there? So that was fun. It was good. It's just good to see him. Y'all can call him old if y'all want to, but it is just great to see him respond like he is responding. What's up, Donita? All right, y'all. The Washington Post reports. This is good news. The Supreme Court restores Louisiana voting map with a majority Black district. A lower court had ruled it as racial gerrymander. And I think they started thinking about that because if they set that kind of precedent, understand what we can do. Like, well, it's all a white map. You got to change it over here. So I think they kind of came to their senses a little bit. So this move ends a prolonged fight that has been happening over district lines with just months to go before the general election. So all this is happening. So that's unfolding. So let's just say it's a win. And then the U.S., and I don't know if Latrice is on here or not, but the U.S. sends equipment to Haiti to prepare for security mission. And I'm like, finally. So several U.S. military planes arrived in Haiti over the past few days to set up temporary living quarters for the personnel who will carry out a multinational security mission in the country. So U.S. Southern Command said put all this in place, and then Kenya is due to lead the mission with 1,000 police officers, while the Bahamas, Bangladesh, Chad, and Jamaica have also agreed to provide personnel. So I'm so glad they're putting something in place over in Haiti. Now, y'all, ABC News is reporting, I'm just leading us up into the town hall meeting. More than 107,000 people in the U.S. died of a drug-related overdose last year. And this is according to data coming out of the CDC, Center of Disease and Control Prevention. The preliminary tally, though, represents the first drop. Now, even when you hear that number, 107,000 people, this is still a first drop by 3% from 2022. So, y'all, this is coming out. It's something to think about. Are we on the right path? How do we continue this path? How do we continue to educate people to understand and have some control when we talk about medication and drug overdose and things? Now, y'all, then, and there's some good news. This is our Thursday, like we call it our Friday, because we're not here tomorrow. But Blavity news reports, and I'm putting this also in the Friday rundown tomorrow. You want to get the whole picture of this. But entrepreneur Channing Brahmer wants to take women's love for sneakers to a new height. And I think it's great timing, especially with everything that's going on with the WNBA. And by the way, I was trying to find some tickets. I was going to go support Angel Reese or Caitlin Clark somewhere. Y'all know there's like no tickets to be found. And I am excited about that. Sell them all out. Some of them had to move to different arenas for this. And I can't wait till Kenny comes on tomorrow with Game Over, not tomorrow, Saturday with Game Over, to talk about some of the things that are happening in sports. I see you, Dr. Antoinette. But y'all, this is a woman's focused boutique shop called CNK, which is set up to open its doors later this year in Dallas. She will be the first Black woman for a majority stake in something like this. So y'all check it out, support her. Again, I'm putting a link in the Friday rundown. Y'all order from her. Come on, y'all. Let's support. Let's do what we do. And we really should do those things. Shirley Nicholson says, pick me. Blessings come in my waiting, not just for me, but for my sisters too. What's up, Virgie? All right, for those of you who are just jumping in, you're probably like, why are all these things in here saying pick me? In celebration of my daughter's 30th birthday, which is Saturday, those who are viewing, as you put pick me in there, if you have purchased the book, Inspire, and we know if you purchased it or not, your name will go into a drawing. We're picking 5 people to do a one-on-one coaching session with me on Inspiration, the Inspire. What's up, Stephanie Burbridge? Huh? So if you have the book, if you purchased the book, and you want to be picked, and as every time we see a new chat that says pick me with your name on it, so if your name goes in there 100 times, it goes in there 100 times. And then we will draw 5 names on Saturday, on my daughter's birthday. And we will then send you an email or DM or whatever to say you've been chosen, and with the link so that you can schedule with me. All of the podcast audio people, you send us an email saying why. So you're kind of like at the essay side of it as to why I should pick you, we should pick you. Cheryl Owens, what's up? Y'all loving this. I love it. All right. So I want to get into the town hall meeting. As Isaiah said it so eloquently, the moment you stop chatting, the town hall is over. So be sure that you are being participating in that. We went over yesterday everything that had to do with poll workers. So if you are thinking about, I'm laughing at Isaiah, y'all, forgive me, because he is in the green room jamming. Okay, I don't know what he's listening to, but he is jamming. So all I see him doing is dancing. So anyway, that's why I'm laughing. If y'all see me, I'm like, what is he doing? But he's having fun, and I love it. But as he said, once you stop talking, the town hall's over. Back to poll workers. Some of you said you were going to sign up. That's great. We're going to stay tuned for things we're doing with the poll workers as well, for anybody who's signing up, because we want to make sure we're celebrating you. I just have to make sure what I want to do, since it's dealing with elections, is legal. So I'm waiting to hear back from an attorney to tell me if I can do that or not. So just hold on to that. So let's get ready for the town hall meeting. I pulled up the latest fact sheet from the White House, the Biden administration. A lot of information talking about historic results by investing in America agenda, like what's really going on. So yesterday I gave y'all loved that inspirational message yesterday. People who were DMing us, sending us emails, I was like, what? People actually asked me, why don't you just teach us on options? Well, that's not my gift. I can't really do that. I've done my own research. So I'm trying to figure out how to get some people to join us to do that, where we're doing a webinar and not here on News and Motion, where it will be a paid session to do that. But y'all, yesterday, everything was all-time highs yesterday, because the chairman came out and gave a report. And although the report, now y'all get this when we're talking about the economy, although the report wasn't good, it was good for investors. I was like, make this make sense. So I'm still trying to learn a lot that's going on, but you all really connected with that inspirational message yesterday. I was like, wow. So y'all really connected with it. But a part of that connection is to understand what's really happening in the financial world when it comes to the Biden administration. Y'all, all-time highs. The S&P 500 has never hit 5,300. Yesterday, it reached 5,311. It did, and it held there. And pre-market is up to 5,355. Unheard of. The mini S&P 500, which is called SPY, the one for the first one is SPX, the second one is SPY, hit an all-time high yesterday of $529.31, $529.31. Amazing. So if you're going back to the inspirational message I gave on yesterday, it broke resistance. So to give you another layer of the inspirational message yesterday, now that it has broken resistance, remember I told you the bottom was support, the top was resistance, sometimes there's a gap fill. Because it has broken resistance, where it never came back underneath that resistant bar, y'all, guess what? Resistant bar now becomes the support bar. And then a new resistance bar is made. Yeah, I could have a whole sermon on this, because it's just mind-blowing what we were able to see yesterday. So that's why I was like, it was a great day yesterday. And no one saw it coming. No one saw it coming. But it happened. And now it's steady. So when I went to this fact sheet, and this is the most recent fact sheet, as they're in what they're calling Infrastructure Week highlights. So all week has been building the infrastructure, what's happening in the United States of America. And y'all can stay tuned or not. But listen, all of this is important when we're going into the general election. So let me just give you some things that are happening. And I want you all to have conversation with me and ask questions or give your 2 cents, so that this is a dialogue. This is a town hall meeting dialogue. All right, to date, and I fact checked all of these things. It took me I didn't go to sleep till 3 o'clock this morning, woke up at 4. The Biden administration announced nearly $454 billion in bipartisan infrastructure law funding. That is a fact. Bipartisan means both sides of the aisle. So I have to go back and give credit to Speaker Mike Johnson. Don't like what he did the other day, but I have to give him credit here, because he's helping bring together bipartisan infrastructure laws in the chamber. I'm sorry. Y'all know me. I'm fair and balanced. That's what he's doing. And he's helping out the Biden administration to do these things. Now, this is including 56,000 specific projects and awards. Hold on. I want to break all this down to you. Across over 4,500 communities in all 50 states, DCs and territories, and for tribes. So that's including everyone. All right, so the updated map showcasing the more than 56,000 projects and awards are identified. And so I'm going to go over, and this is coming from the White House, I'm going to go over some of these now. And I want you to ask questions, because here's an opportunity for us to take these questions, because we can go back through and pull this information, take these questions or your comments, and we're going to write our own, and we're going to send in our own letter and ask questions so that we can get more information. Kim Edmondson says, what was the infrastructure, when was the infrastructure bill passed while Mike Johnson is speaker or before? The bill passed before he became speaker. The bill passed the first year that Biden was in office. And at that time, Nancy Pelosi, they passed it right before the GOP took over the House. So that's how it was passed. But the fact that he's passing these bills, the most recent bills that he has passed, where Marjorie Taylor Greene wanted to oust him, there were two major bills that were passed. I can't think of the bill numbers, but there were two major bills that were passed. And he's the one that helped pass those. So he's the one that the whip and him gathered those votes and got them out. So yes, you're welcome. So the historic progress on infrastructure by numbers. Now, I want y'all to pay attention to this, because let me go ahead and tell you my take in the beginning. This is all great, but I want you to start thinking about your communities. And I want you to think about the demographics, and I want you to think about, are you seeing this reflect in your area? Because although this is great, and it's a great start, I can immediately think of things that we need to be doing. For example, and they touched on this a little bit, but the whole maternal Black health piece. That's a real problem. So yes, there's money going to healthcare, but are we also bringing it down to Black maternal health care? When we talk about child care, y'all know that's a big thing right now that's happening across the board, where women are going back to work, but child care numbers are high. They're putting out some grant money, but they're not hitting the areas where child care for the lower income people who are having to go to work because of inflation, but they cannot even afford child care. It's almost better for them to stay at home and just take care of their own children, because their checks are going to child care. I want y'all to think, these are things that are on the ballot. This is who we are. These are the things we're going to talk about. This is happening. I'm working on a piece. Dr. Antoinette posted it yesterday. It's still kind of muddy for me to share it. Hopefully I'll be able to share it next week, because there's a spin that's going on different sides. So I want to get down to it, that Katie Britt put together. It's not quite a bill yet, but it's some legislation she's putting together that's not going to fare well for moms. Okay, so again, I'm working on that so we can unfold that and put that out there. So they launched improvements of over 165,000 miles of roads. They must not have been in Columbus, Ohio, because I don't see it. But I fact-checked it, and it's true. They provided funding to deploy nearly 3,000 low to zero emission American-made transit buses. That's out there. That's fact. They delivered funding for over 450 port and waterway projects. That's a fact. I'm giving y'all the soft stuff first. Lori says, and what about the woman who is a single mother that has no insurance and can't take time off of her job? That's a hard choice to have to make. Absolutely, Lori. Absolutely. And these are the things that if we attend town hall meetings, there's my word right there. If we attend these town hall meetings, we can raise these types of questions. It's like, this looks good on paper, but when I look at, that's why I'm asking you all to look at your particular neighborhood, your particular community, and ask the question, well, do I see this reflected here? And if not, what are my representatives doing about this? Kim Edmondson says, I see the road work on the east side of Columbus. Good for you. Yay for that. So, deploy investment in over 300 airport terminal projects. We can see, now I can see that right here in Columbus, Ohio. That's happening. Y'all taking away our McDonald's. That was a place where we would go and hang out and eat or use the restroom while we're waiting on our loved ones to arrive. So you're taking away the McDonald's. And even with that, now y'all who live in Central Ohio, y'all know I'm crazy. So of course I went and said something. Like, seriously, like, okay, Mayor Ginther, really? The McDonald's? Y'all couldn't build a garage over the McDonald's and make it something that McDonald's is a part of the infrastructure of this change? You're taking away McDonald's. That McDonald's is a fixture of the Columbus airport. Like, seriously? And I come to find out I'm not the only person asking that question. So he wrote back and was like, okay, you're probably one of the, 50,200 person. He didn't say that, but he was like, a lot of y'all really like this McDonald's. Yes, survey the community. We like the McDonald's. That's our stop when we get off the plane and it's like 11 p.m. and we have nothing to eat. That's our stop before we go home. We want the McDonald's. So there's that. So finance over 1,400 drinking water and wastewater projects, deployed funding that will help replace 1.7 million toxic lead pipes. Immediately I thought about Michigan. Okay. Remove hazardous fuel material, funded nearly 500 projects for water recycling. Yeah, this is just the thing. Now, I want to get down here. Enabled over 23 million low-income households to access free or discounted high-speed internet service through the Affordable Connectivity Program. Let's stop there. Let's talk. Are we really seeing this? And when you say 23 million low-income families, how did you arrive at this number? How did you select the individual people? Is this connected that they have to live in the same community, in the same low-income Section 8 housing? What else do we need to do? I want y'all to talk to me about this, because should there be something in place that we're checking out? Well, are you dealing with the low-income families in my neighborhood or in my area or in my zip code area or demographic or whatever that looks like? How can we then, is this connected to the school systems? Are we ensuring that that the students all have internet? Are you counting them in the 23 million? Or are these different projects? Y'all, these are the kind of questions that we need to ask. Again, it looks great on paper, and I fact checked this. This is true. But who's actually receiving these services, and why did you select them? How did you, are these, because it's the Biden administration, are these Democratic areas? Are we being bipartisan? And you did say bipartisan in your write-up, so I'm going to believe that. But are we making sure that we are reaching Black and brown and white children together? Are we making sure this internet access is for everyone? And this here is why we vote. Okay, so we cannot separate voting from this. So these are the kind of questions we need to be asking. So again, y'all, this town hall is a little different, but these are the kind of questions we need to be asking, because right now, this is what the Biden administration is running on, okay, for the general election. Adrian says, yes, that McDonald's is a staple. It really is. It's like, don't get rid of McDonald's. Now get this, funded 12,000 miles of middle mile high-speed internet infrastructure across 370 counties, promoting the security, resilience, and affordability of our nation's regional networks. Okay, that sounds good, but what exactly did you do? And why did you do that? And what's the difference between that and what you did for 23 million families. And that, y'all, I'm unable to connect the dots there. So you did 23 million low-income households, but then you funded 12,000 miles. Where's that mileage? And when you talk about promoting the security, resilience, and affordability, is that for we the people, or is that for corporations? Is this for the internet? Is this for places like Comcast and Spectrum and Verizon and for Apple and for Samsung? Like, who is this for and why? And how do you connect these? The other question is how much money? How much money? Lori says, is it the areas with low income or people of color? And that's the question we need to be asking. Davia says, no, y'all, I love y'all in there. And then Lori also says, who is selecting the areas they choose to serve or have the service for? Great question. Y'all, Lori coming up with some questions. She also says lower income to them is completely different than lower income for someone in that area. You are absolutely correct. You are absolutely correct. And I love this. Y'all, even here, when I see the questions you all are asking, I immediately think we need to be rolling up into some town hall meetings, some council meetings, some mayoral meetings, and having these conversations. All right, y'all, provided funding for more than 280 tribal governments to connect over 65,000 tribal households with high-speed internet. So I started digging. Dr. Antoinette says, what is the definition of lower income? Great question, which I think feeds into where I started digging, Dr. Antoinette. I love that we're on the same page. I started digging. And in my digging, although this information is factual, it can also be a spin. For example, the 23 million low income, the 12,000 miles, and then the 65,000 tribal, there could be some crossover there. And I thought, so that's not really, yes, it's fact, and yes, you're doing this, but you're kind of like using some of the same figures. Why are you using the same figures and not just telling us for example, out of these 23 million low-income families, and I'm hypothetical here with these other numbers, 2,000 of them are coming from the tribal government. Why not just tell us that? Instead of just making it seem like you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this. Again, it still comes out as fact, but tell us your percentage of out of this 23 million, this many million, or these many people are doing X. Let us know those things. Implement new rules to expose internet junk fees. That is true. They're doing that, but now they're being sued from the U.S. Airlines. Y'all remember that, right? We talked about it here. Yeah. And we need to keep pushing that because that's a good one for those of us who fly. Plug nearly 8,000 oil and gas wells to address legacy pollution. Allocated funding to 95 previously unfunded Superfund site projects. Y'all, there's a lot of infrastructure that's going on. But I have a question, so hold on. And I'm surprised none of y'all asked this question already. Provided funding to 180 programs that advance President Biden's Justice 40 initiative, which is a goal that 40% of the overall benefits of certain federal clean energy. So all that, okay? So here's my question. Do we have the infrastructure to sustain all of this? Y'all, that's my question. And I'm surprised none of y'all asked this question yet. Do we have the infrastructure to sustain all of this? If you keep digging and you keep putting up all this internet and all of these towers and all these things that are going on, do we have should we back up and start with that infrastructure first? And all of this is great, but let's say the election in November goes the other way. Will all of this be undone? Do we have some executive orders or legislation that says that these things cannot be undone? So let me go to Dr. Antoinette, who says, who selects the service they receive for internet and using what criteria? Great questions. Y'all keep these questions coming. And then Cheryl Owen says, I think the issue of lower income should be a real project to pursue. The way poverty is defined financially appears to be absurd and discriminatory. Could you talk about that in the near future? We sure can. That's a great question. I love that. I think the issue lower income should be a real project we pursue. Put that one back up about Cheryl Owens, please. The way poverty is defined financially. And that's the thing. We need to define poverty. Like, what is it? Because at one point it was 13,000 or less. And then I think it moved up to like 23,000 and less or less. And then someone mentioned that even poverty could be 25,000 or less. So we need to look into that. Now, Cheryl, here on News in Motion, we will select people in a minute. And I know you have great research skills. So if you can start helping us with the foundation of finding out some of these numbers, we're going to build on it, and then we can do a whole segment on it. And actually, sis, you can come join me on a town hall Thursday and help us walk through it. Okay? Everybody say, yeah, come on, Cheryl. Come on, Cheryl Owens. Lori says not only sustain it, but will it be a program that if someone else gets in office, removes it? There it is. There, and that can happen. That can happen November the 5th. Well, it can happen January 20th of 2025. So we have roads and bridges, which we know about that. We have, they call it the Stitch project in Atlanta, Georgia, which received $158 million to create a 14-acre mixed-use development cap in the downtown connector. And many people are saying that, is this a part of the COP program? Good question. Good question. I wasn't able to connect those dots there, so I don't think it is, but it's a great question that people are raising in the Fulton County, DeKalb County area in Atlanta. Airports, they're talking about the Missouri-Montana, that's not right. The Montana Airport South Concourse Project, the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport project. They're talking about ports and waterways, which is the Louisiana International Terminal project, please, because, I'm not even sure how ships continue to dock there, like seriously. Norfolk Harbor deepening project. They're talking about transit and school buses. Now, remember, they invested $90 billion in public transit. But even still, I think about, again, I want y'all to think about y'all's immediate communities. I think about Columbus, Ohio, and I'm like, is there a reason why we don't have a railway yet? We should have a railway between Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati. And I know that we've talked about it for a long time, but where is it? Like, why can't we have that? School buses. They're talking about school buses and the fumes and things from school buses and how they're going to start working on those. Electric vehicle charging, EV batteries, and critical material. I must tell y'all, I don't think I ever have to go back to a fuel car again. I just don't think so. Now, the dude I got a car from, he crazy, but he has a brilliant mind, and he just did an upload to our cars. Everything, you don't have to go in to see a person at all. They just did an update. And I'm like, I can just go live in my car because the update is phenomenal. And I think about that. I'm like, wow, the fuel, the emission, all of that. How do we get that under control? So they were talking about $7.5 billion is now available funding. And we know Elon Musk got some of that, but then he fired all the supercharged people, which kind of went against what he received the money for. And so now he's had to hire them back. I'm sure they probably like, dude, you can't do what you just did. So if you saw the news yesterday, he started hiring them back because he couldn't do that because that was his whole project. So with that, $7.5 billion, charging ports on America roads surpassed 182,000, over a 90% increase. Y'all, that is huge. That's a big deal. Lori says, if any of them would choose to really create programs that will last beyond their terms, we might be in a better position. We might be in better positions. Unfortunately, sometimes they focus more on getting into a position, not I don't know what the rest of it says. So we gotta figure this out here, and we gotta help build over here, and we have to bring the questions effect they will have after their time is done. Thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate that. So y'all, these are things that we cannot get away from, and we're going to do our due diligence here with News in Motion to keep bringing this to you. Y'all, this is what's on the ballot. It is my pleasure to have answered what I believe a call from God. And that call is going into, so we have the rest of this month, June, where we celebrate 4 years. Can y'all believe that? And then the young people will take over in July. The week after 4th of July, they'll be here for 3 weeks in July. We're on break in August, and we're back in September, actually the Tuesday after Labor Day. And what God has been dealing with me is not looking at the divide, but looking at help people pay attention to what's really going on. Help people pay attention to the stock market. We really need to have a conversation. I would love the roaring kitty, Keith Gill, to join me on News in Motion, because the real retailers in stock get gobbled up by the institutions all the time. So the retailers may end up with a couple $1,000s from a stock from an option trade, but the institutions are taking off with millions of dollars. So even with people who have larger portfolios, okay, you may end up with 10, 20, 30, 40, even $50,000, but the institutions may have $500,000, $1 million, and so forth and so on. That's a conversation we need to have as to what does this look like and how do we come together? Conversations such as infrastructure, conversations such as vacant school buildings. Can we turn them into hotels for the homeless people? Having conversations about food insecurity. I'm not going to ever get off of that, y'all. So don't wait for that to happen, because that's not happening. We got to keep having those conversations with that. We got to talk about EV charges. We have to talk about fossil fuel. We have to talk about airport fuels and junk fees and charges. We have to talk about clean water and lead pipes. All of this, y'all, is a part of infrastructure. And if the infrastructure is broken here in America, we're in trouble. I just want to communicate that. I didn't realize we are at 8:07. I'm sorry, Isaiah. I'm like, oh, see, I get into this. Can y'all tell I love what I do? I absolutely love it. High-speed internet, super funding of different companies, the wells, the mines, the projects, it goes on and on and on and on and on. I'm going to put this entire thing in the Friday rundown. If you do not get our free e-newsletter, you can go to gaildeli.com to get that, and we will make sure your name is added. All right, y'all, real quick, the inspirational message. I had no idea that we've gone this long, but y'all can tell I love what I do, and I want to empower you with this information. Y'all, offer grace. That's my inspirational message for you today. Offer grace. You never know what anyone's going through. I've been seeing different posts and hearing from different friends over these past 72 hours of how people have been just privately going through things because they didn't want to have distractions or interference from people or so many people speaking in their ears. They were talking about how people pulled back because they didn't understand why they had gone into isolation, which is not the healthiest thing to do, but why they've gone into isolation and or why they drew back. Well, because they've been experiencing something and going through something, and they did not trust the people who they were around to really lift them up. They needed places to be lifted up and to be energized and to be motivated and not bombarded with, you should do this, you should do that. And I want to say this to all of you, be careful with that as well. You know, yes, if somebody's asking for our advice, first of all, pray about it first before you give advice, because maybe, just maybe, the advice you're giving is not what they need. we got to pause before we say, well, you should do this. Well, and I'm guilty. I am just as guilty as the next person. And I'm learning to be still and wait for God to answer and give me a spirit of discernment before I respond. But y'all, offer grace. People are going through a whole lot today. They are going through sickness, cancer diagnosis, disease, and so forth. Y'all just chill out. Pray for them. You haven't seen or heard from your friend, pray for them. Pray for them. Pray for them. All right, y'all. See all the pick-me's in here. We're going to be gathering those before we sign out, before I sign out on my end. Don't forget podcast, audio side, send in your little essay as to why you should be picked. We will do the announcement on Tuesday. Well, we're going to send you the email beforehand, but then we will announce everybody on Tuesday on News in Motion. All right, y'all. Hopefully you got something out of today. And I see all these pick me coming in here. I love it. 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 All right, y'all. Y'all know what I say. I am Gail Dudley. Stay well. And remember to make some bold moves. We're out.
News in motion.